Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Pole Obsession with the beautiful Elizabeth Domizet and me, Felix Kane. Today we have with us our extremely special guest, the wonderful Robyn from Sydney Pole. Welcome, Robyn.
What would you like everyone to know, Robyn, about, I guess, yourself or Sydney Pole?
I think one of the big reasons that I started Sydney Pole was pole dancing did so much for me and it impacted my life in such a positive way that I just wanted to do this for as many people as I could. So I just feel like if you're living a life of purpose and it's not just about you, and how can you just positively impact as many people's lives as you can. And my big thing was creating a home away from home for people. So having a safe space, no matter who you are, what kind of style dancing you like, you come into this space and you feel safe, accepted, and it's just your home away from home. So a lot of the students always say that, as I'm sure that your students say as well, this is like my home away from home. So just continuing to make as much of a positive impact as I can to many more people's lives.
Would you do anything differently? I mean, I think we all probably would, but what would you do differently?
I think for the first year we had the one studio, and then, in the fifth year we did the second, and then very quickly after that we did the third, and then probably pretty quickly after that did the fourth. I think looking back, I would have slowed down. I don't think I would have gone as fast as I did. In a way, when COVID did hit, whilst it was hard, it was actually a good thing because it made me slow down, and we're like, we need to take stock here because I feel like we're just going so fast. And it was killing us. We were just taking on more and more and more and more. And I think I would have probably just tried to have a little bit more balance and not have gone as fast.
I'm the same. I went quite quickly. I had at one stage so many studios in Canberra, and Canberra's not a really big place. And then I pulled back and I actually closed some for the first time last year. But I think that's exactly the same. We just grew really quickly, and then it was like, oh no, let's be a little bit more strategic about where we're going, and let's make these studios that we've got now really full before I open another one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Again, like our motto this year is make shit easy. Just making sure that we're not overcomplicating things. Like, does this system make sense? Like, why have we got 10 systems to do this? So I think just simplifying our processes, simplifying our lives, and just sort of, just enjoying it more, and not sort of taking on too much or adding things that we just don't need. So one of our biggest things that we got, because we have 100 instructors, and covers can be such a can be such a nightmare. Like, some days we were like, that's all we did, like literally trying to hunt down covers. But we use Mind Body Online, and it's great. I feel like there's no silver bullet to a system, but it's pretty good. It's got global support. It's widely known. But we have a bolt-on system called NetGym, and NetGym has an API into MindBody, and basically we assign skill sets to all the instructors. So can you teach up to this level? If you can, it'll send out an email and message to all the instructors saying, do you wish to pick up this cover? So honestly, we only get involved now for like super emergencies if it's like within a few hours out, but basically it doesn't force. So that was a game changer.
Yeah, I feel like I am taking note. That's awesome. Having that all automated is such a huge thing, because it can take up so much time, can't it? Trying to get to this person, that person. Wait, I gotta, yeah. And I only have 10. I only have 10 instructors, 100. But I feel like it resonates so much with me, what you've said about making things simple, but also I think for me, which is important for me, is enjoying your quality of life. Like, we're studio owners, and before that I was a dancer, but that's what we do. That's not who we are. And I think that it's so important to take that time to say, I also need to focus time and energy on enjoying it, not just doing it, but actually enjoying it and getting it to a place where I'm not just running and hounding myself and stressing myself out and feeling anxiety, but actually, taking that time to make it simple and step away from it and be able to breathe and go, yeah, I do love this. This is great. This is going good.
Yeah, absolutely. Because otherwise, what's it all for? You have to have a quality of life as well. And, it's just, it's definitely a balance.
For sure, for
So
sure. I'm like the opposite of you guys. I'm the most slow moving person. It took me like, I think 12 years to even think about opening a studio. And then I was like super reluctant to do it. I was like, I don't wanna, it's responsibility.
Why did I do this?
Yeah, yeah. I'm the
we all
opposite.
think that sometimes.
I don't wanna. I just wanna dance, actually. But
So
no, I
who is Robyn, I guess, outside of Sydney Pole? Like, what are the things that you love doing when you're not doing work?
Yeah, so I live near the Bay Walk in Sydney. I don't know if you know it, but it's like a seven kilometer Bay Walk, and it's kind of near like Balmain, Drummoyne area.
Oh,
And I absolutely love just getting out on that and walking as many times a week as I can, because I find that that's just my time. I'll listen to a podcast or some music or nothing, and just sort of really recharge like that. I'm very big on, I don't know if you've heard of the analogy, like cup filling. Like, I feel like when you are stressed and you're doing too much, but it's like, what have I been doing to fill my cup? Because I feel like when I don't, and like I'm out of alignment with my values, then that's when things fall over. So I think for me, movement is such an important thing. Like I do weights. I had a back injury, so didn't do pole for a little while, and I haven't done it for a little while, but I'm definitely going to get back into it. So I think just having 8 studios kind of took over that element of things. But yeah, definitely movement and just spending time with family and friends, and yeah.
there's a lot of studio owners that actually don't pole now,
Yeah.
especially the biggest studio owners, because they're just working in the business. It's just so time consuming that it actually can be even hard to pole. I personally do it because it forces me to stay fit, and I still love it, obviously, but I still teach, and that's, yeah, my exercise. But I mean, I do the walking and stuff like you do too. But yeah, there's a lot of studio owners that don't actually pole.
Yeah. I think sometimes as well, if I did do a class, you get students being like, hey, Robyn, am I such and such? I'm like, I just want to enjoy this class as a student.
Yeah, yeah, that's it.
nobody knows who I am in my studio.
Oh, really?
Yeah, nobody knows.
Really?
I had one person ask me, came up to her, I was at the desk, and she goes, "Do you do pole dancing?"
Oh, I've had that. I've had that.
I do.
I know. I've had that
Just
too.
like I'm just a world champion, but yeah.
Just a little.
Still got it.
It's so lovely, though. It's so lovely because you don't want people to feel like, I don't want people to feel like I feel like I'm important, because, and I think you have a very similar ethos as well. It comes from such a place of love. I open a pole dancing studio because I want people to tell me how great I am at pole dancing. I open it because I love pole dancing and I want to share that. And, the same with you. And it's so lovely that you've had so much good things come back from it, because you wanted to go in to give this beautiful, experience that you've had to more people. And it's lovely to see that it's coming back in such a wonderful way.
Yeah, that's so funny. Do you pole dance?
Do you pole dance? Yes. But at the time, I think I was pregnant, so I was like, not right now, I don't.
Oh.
What advice would you give anyone who wanted to open their own studio?
I think the advice I would give is, maybe before you plunge into it, maybe go and work for a studio. Go and do some front of house shifts, or be around the environment, connect with people, talk to the owner, talk to people who work for the studio, and just sort of kind of immerse yourself in the environment before you think about doing it. Yeah, I think a lot of people are like, oh, I love pole dancing, so I'm going to start my own studio, but it's just not as simple as that. So I think definitely immerse yourself in the environment before you consider it. And make sure you have support as well. It's doing it on your own is definitely hard, and just making sure you have a support network around you.
Yeah,
that's huge. Yeah, that's, and I don't know about you guys, but when I first opened, I was teaching like every single class.
Oh, same.
So you're doing
And
all
right
of the...
now I still am in Melbourne.
You're crazy. But yes, you do all of the studios, and Elle, I know we've talked about painting the studios, because I refuse to pay someone to do it. I've got to do it all myself. And And it's just so much work physically, mentally, the business side of it, and then you're teaching as well. So it is like, if that's the way you're going to do it, it's so exhausting. And if you don't have the support, it could easily break you. It's really, really,
Yeah.
really hard at the beginning.
Yeah.
Absolutely. What about the cost of it, Robyn? Can you go into the detail of that for us? Because I don't think people realise how much it costs to open a studio.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think definitely, you know, if you don't have the money and you want to borrow money, like go and see how much you can borrow. But if you do have a bit of money, maybe try and get some behind you. I think the size of the space, definitely don't choose something too big. I think rent is your biggest cost, along with, you know, staff, if you sort of have to have some full-time staff maybe, but I think definitely keeping your overheads low to begin with, doing as much as you can yourself, and just sort of, definitely keeping costs low. But yeah, I mean, the fit outs are expensive. You've got to buy poles and flooring, and things go wrong. And like when we were building the Camperdown studio, I remember at one point it was going so quickly because we had to move out of the other studio quite quickly because of the West Connects project. They were building tunnels in Sydney. And I remember just standing in the new space, and there was like 50 builders around, and it was just happening so fast. And I was looking at the flooring and I was like, what are they putting down? We didn't say that. And it was going down really fast. And then just even like the acoustics in a pole room, the acoustics were not great. I was just like, okay, so we had a team of builders and an interior design team, but not at one point did they say you're going to have acoustic issues and it's going to be really echoey. I think you get used to it, but just all these little details that you sort of need to think about before you build.
Yeah.
50 builders.
It's 2,000 square meters.
Yeah, that's a lot of builders. Can you sort of break down like the cost of that? Because that's insane, just putting that many builders on. Like, I don't think I've ever opened a studio. I know, look, I've had about 10 at once, but I've never had 50. So what sort of cost is that?
Well, I think Camperdown is the anomaly. Like Camperdown is kind of the exception. I think most of our other studios are like 2-room studios or 3 max. So Camperdown has 8. So it is a different beast. And it's funny because I remember when we started, we had 11 classes with maybe like 40 students, or like 30 or 40 students to start with. But now I think we have about 120 classes on the timetable. In total, we have about 2,000 students across all the locations. And I lost my train of thought then. What was your question again?
So it's about the cost of building it, and then you were telling us about how many students.
So the cost of building Camperdown, we were fortunate because the old space that got knocked down, the government actually compensated us because they were knocking the space down. So we got
unfortunate.
Well, yeah, I know. Yeah. I'm like, So to build Camperdown was about $1 million.
And then what did the government pay for that? Do they pay the whole lot because they knocked it down, or did they just give you a portion of it?
No, they gave us a portion of it. So they gave us probably close to about 700,000. So we were out of pocket a bit, but nothing massive, and it enabled us to build the space that we built. So, but we would never build a space this big again.
Would you do that if the government hadn't given you that money?
Good question. Maybe not.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Maybe not.
And also not having to do it because you were being pushed out of the other space. So
But honestly, we were sort of up to 4 pole rooms, and we outgrew that space quickly. Yeah. So we were like, we're doubling year on year. Let's do this. It makes sense. It's across the road. Let's just go gangbusters. But then again, couldn't predict COVID. So that stopped us in our tracks.
So how many students, when you actually opened Camperdown, did you have?
Oh, about 30 or 40. So
that would have freaked me out so much. I would have been losing my mind. Like, how am I going to pay this rent with 30 or 40 students in a 2,000?
I had a full-time job.
Yeah, that's scary. Like that.
And we only started with like 2 rooms, and we just bought poles for 1 room. So, the cost of the studio we built were, I think maybe I don't know how, I can't even remember now, but it was, maybe just about 100, 150 or something to build the space. So it wasn't ridiculous. But yeah, I mean, I worked there every day after my job, and, you know, we had maybe 4 or 5 instructors to start with only 11 classes. So yeah, we kind of struggled the first year and, you know, probably broke even. But I guess if you're breaking even, that's a good thing. Most businesses fail within the first couple of years. So yeah, but then as soon as I left my corporate job, I was like on a mission. I was like, okay, this has my full attention now. And all of a sudden, then things started to work.
What did you do? Was it the trial classes, or what did you do to make that 30, 40 students turn into what you've got, like 500 or something there now, do you?
Yeah, I think Camperdown there's probably about like 600 or 700 here now. So I think free trials was definitely a pivoting point for us. And I think at the time, no other studio was doing it. So we sort of got on that, and then we were just getting tons of people in. And then I was teaching most of them. So I remember at first I hated selling. I was just like, oh my God, I don't want to do this. But I just realized after time that it's actually not selling, because people are buying your passion and your love for it. And they're like, oh my God, I want to do what she's doing. And like her energy is so great that it's like, it's genuine, it's authentic. I'm actually not selling. So, you know, and you just build these relationships with people, and, you know, it just sort of became a bit of a thing. So I think free trial classes definitely made us sort of grow as fast as we did. But I think now everyone's doing it. So, and also I think pole studios are not the only competition that we have, you know, amongst one another. It's like other concept gyms, it's boutique gyms that are coming up. Like so many new concepts are coming up. So I think it's wallet share, right? Like it's not just us, it's the whole fitness industry that we're competing against.
Yeah, easily.
I think Pilates Princess era sort of gave us a bit of a kick as well.
Yeah.
It was pole. And then this Pilates came in, and we were like, oh, wait, I lost people to Pilates. I don't know about you two, but that's been really big for me.
Yeah. Yeah, Pilates is, I mean, I think that Pilates was like the most popular type of fitness this like last year that they reported, like it was #1.
Yeah, it's nuts, right?
Yeah.
I think what I've seen is like where there used to be like diehard pole people, there's so much less of that now, that everybody does a little bit of everything. And I mean, I think it's good for the body as well. I don't think it's necessary that you only do pole dancing, but there used to be just your pole people only did pole. Like that was all that they did, and that was what they were obsessed with. Whereas now I think it's more a generalized fitness thing and I think the appetite for new experience is insatiable. I think people want something new. They want something they haven't done before, haven't seen before, haven't tried before, and they like to achieve things very, very quickly. So I think that sort of initial beginners phase of learning is really where the fitness industry captures in different concepts. And so you have that in pole at the beginning, but then, so I have a lot of beginners come through and then just not move, you know, leave and do something else, which I think I haven't seen that before. So that's interesting.
I think that Class Pass does that as well, because I don't know if you guys do the Class Passes there. Like I've decided not to do that, but they buy this package of Class Passes and they go everywhere for like less than half price. So I don't think that that's been helpful to any of us either.
I think I tried that once, but I just the quality of the client that I was getting wasn't really what I wanted at the studio. Like it didn't. Most of the clients that I got through those, I think it's like Groupon or something, weren't valuable enough for me to reinvest. I was finding that it was more of a challenge really than anything to sort of try to upsell to the normal price after that when they've paid like such a low price.
Yeah.
You're exactly right. And we found that as well. Like because we started by charging for free trials. But then when it came time to pay for it, they're like, oh, but this was only this much. Like now it's this much. Whereas if it's a free trial, they have no idea. So then they're like, oh, okay, yeah, I'll sign up. Like
exactly. They don't assign a value to it, you know, but I only paid $5, so it's only worth $5. No, it's worth $1 million.
But we do use Class Pass, but very selective on the classes that we offer. So we wouldn't just let them drop in, because we do like 10-week beginner courses. So we wouldn't just let them drop into that at any time. We might open it up for like the first couple of weeks, but then that's it. And then maybe like flexibility classes or some conditioning or an aerial hammock or something. So we're selective with what we let in. But the only thing with that then is when class pass people sort of come through, you don't have their details on the system. It's like literally like their number is like, so you can't really market to them. But like we do get people coming in, and I guess it's just, they might take some videos and then they'll be like, oh, great, I went to City Pole. It was really great. They tell their friends. So it's still worth it.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Do they come back though and book like memberships?
If they really enjoy, but again, it's hard to tell because we don't have their details.
Yeah, right.
So
what's your conversion for your free trials? Because I personally have done free trials. I remember you and I had this conversation. I'm like, all right, to my staff, we're doing these free trials. But our conversion was so bad that I actually stopped it. So I think you must be doing something much more amazing than what I did. It didn't work for me.
Yeah, I think it's something you need to persevere with, and it also depends on who's doing it. So like when we do it, we have a handout. So we'll have like an intro offer, we'll print out the timetables, the instructors will run the class for maybe 40 minutes, 45 minutes, and then they'll spend that last 15 minutes talking about the classes. So like they'll sit them down in a circle and they're like, how did everyone go? Like, get all excited, and then just sort of going through all the things, and then maybe we'll do an offer, like, hey, if you sign up within the next 24 hours, you get a free class if you do this. So I think if they've really enjoyed it and those endorphins are going, and then we've got the offer there, then they'll do it.
Yeah.
But conversion, I think it also like depends on who's doing it. But I think on average, probably around like 40%, 35, 40%.
I think mine was probably maybe similar, probably a little bit less. I think we were about a 30%. So we sort of changed ours to like $10 or $15 trial classes, depending on the term and what we needed. And that's kind of work. But yours definitely, the free trial class definitely makes sense when you're saying they don't associate a value to it.
Yeah, because I think this pole is scary for people. So I think people come in and they're like, oh, I'm really nervous, or I don't have enough, the number one thing, I don't have enough upper body strength. Like, get strong doing it. So I think there's a lot of barriers. It's not like a simple, like, oh, I'm going to go to the gym. Like pole is intimidating, especially like when they come in and people are not wearing much and they're like, oh, like, I don't want to wear shorts. So it can be scary, and there's a lot of barriers to joining up. But I think, yeah, it's still worth doing them for sure.
When do you run your trial classes? Do you run them like continuously throughout the year, or is there a time of like just before the beginning of the next term?
We run them all the time. So like every week. So because we have a 10-week course and a 5-week course. So basically it's sort of like for, weeks 9, 10, 1, 2, 3, we'll get them into the 10 weeks, and then we'll switch to the 5 weeks. So we run them continuously.
Oh, interesting. I'm going to try that.
Do it.
I will. Yeah. To have a consistent, because usually I'll just chuck a child class on if like at like maybe week 6 or 7, because we do an 8-week term, week 6 or 7 in like the run into the new term. But I'm going to try this. I'll report back.
Yeah. And then we also do
Robyn's got some good tips.
And then sharing the love. And then so we'll do like text campaigns. So in MindBody, there's a text functionality within MindBody. So we can send like a ton of texts through MindBody. And it's good because then at front of house or on at night, there's always someone in there responding to the messages because you can access it from anywhere. So sending out all the confirmations and just running them all the time, and appreciating that you're going to get some tire kickers. But, a lot of people who come are interested. So
yeah. So how to text after they do the class then to them?
Yeah, the next day. So if they don't sign up, then we'll follow them up being like, hey, how'd you go? And then we'll have the link with the offer, hey, if you sign up in the next 24 hours, we'll add on a free class to this. And they're like, oh my God, yes, please.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah. So definitely lots of messages and EDMs and just constant communication.
Remember pole dancing. Remember.
Yeah. But we've actually found recently as well with our ads, obviously we use Facebook and Instagram and Google, but our cost per lead for Facebook was just going through the roof. So Google is definitely getting us better results right now. And they're more sort of like genuine leads, right? Because they're searching pole dancing, and then they're going to be more genuine rather than an ad popping up on Facebook. We still do Facebook, but Google is better.
Yeah.
My bandwidth keeps cutting out. I'm just nodding my head.
We're all having
yes, very interesting.
Excellent, Robyn. You're a genius.
No, far from it.
Pole dancing. Yes.
Remember, because I remember things. Felix will tell you.
Elle remembers everything. Literally everything that has ever happened, she'll remember. It's an amazing quality.
That's great.
Well, it's good and bad. I wanted to have a quick chat with you about, I know that you ran a competition. I remember when you took over the Parramatta studio that Pole Candy came with it. And I remember you ran that for 1 year. Is that right?
Yes.
Was it only 1 year?
Yes, we did.
Tell me about that.
So that was a great competition, and we had fun doing it. But I feel like because of the amount of studios we had, I think there's so many competitions out there, and there's so many people that do it so well, like you, Elizabeth. And I feel like, to be honest, we probably didn't have the bandwidth to continue running competitions. I just think we leave it to people who do it really well, and there's so many to choose from. So to be honest, I think we just didn't really have the headspace or bandwidth to continue running it, just because of the amount of studios we had. We're like, we can't do everything. We're juggling so many balls, and comps take so much time to organise. So I feel like it was just a ball that had to be dropped for now, because we just couldn't do everything.
Would you do it again?
Never say never. I mean, I would love to. I think once we sort of, make a lot of our processes easier and sort of get to a better place where we do have time, I would absolutely love to. Our Gladesville studio is such a beautiful space for competitions. We have like a removable wall that comes out. So yeah, never say never. I would definitely love to, but not at this stage.
Yeah. Well, we know it's a lot.
Leave it to you. We'll leave it to you, Queen.
And I appreciate no more competitions coming into the scene.
No. Well, like, what? People do this really well. Well, we'll leave it to them. Leave it to you.
Let them do it.
Thank you so much for being so transparent and for all that wonderful information. And yeah, I think it really helps us all grow as a community and as an industry when we can, look at trailblazers and say, hey, that was amazing. How did you do that? Thank you so much. I'm going to try and be as awesome as you. So thank you so much for sharing with us.
Thank you. It's been so nice chatting to you both.
Thank you so much.
It is honestly amazing. You're just such a leader. And I don't even know if you know this or think this, but you're such a leader in our industry. And I just think you're so inspiring for so many people. No, truly, you really are. Like how you've grown Sydney Pole is just absolutely remarkable. It's such a huge thing for our industry to show that it can be done, and it can be done really well. And you're not just a pole dancer, you're a successful businesswoman, and that's just super, super inspiring. So we really appreciate you coming on. I really appreciate you coming on and telling us all your secrets.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Bye.
Bye. Thanks, Robyn.
Bye. Thanks, guys.
Thank you so much, Robyn, for all of that wonderful information. I'm sure that everybody out there got so much out of it, and it is so lovely to have you chat with us. That has been another edition of Pole Obsession. We can't wait to see you or speak to you on the next one.